went back to South Korea, country of kimchi and K-pop and also plastic surgery, and I spent 2 weeks in Seoul, Busan and on Jeju Island. And they always say don't come to Korea in July because it's rain season, but I did it anyway and it was great, except starting the trip off with flight delays and cancellations. So after 50 hours we finally made it to Incheon airport, took the RX train to Seoul station and took an Uber to our hotel in Myeongdong, which I really recommend because it's so central and also close to Gyeongbokgung Palace. This year, Seoul also launched the climate card, so you get unlimited travels on the subway on buses for several days. We paid just 10,000 won for the first 3 days, and with the T-Money card, you do get a discount, but you have to pay around 1,400 for every single ride. On our first day in beautiful Seoul, we went to Bukchung Hanok village, and a hanok is a traditional Korean home, but that also means people live here, so please be quiet when visiting and only go during opening hours. And also because of those 50 hours at airports and on flights, we took a break at a cafe in one of Seoul's business districts, and we were at the Cheongjeongcheon I can't say this. Cheongjeong stream, but I'm afraid of dragonflies, and there were so many dragonflies, so instead we checked out the Line store, because when I studied at Ewha some years back, I did a practical module with the company Line, and it's basically WhatsApp. And since my luggage went missing, I had to buy a beige thong, and this is so specific, I know. I wonder what the airline thinks that I got a single thong because they have to reimburse me, but it's because I'm wearing a white skirt and that was the only thing I had in my hand luggage, and it's see-through. So once I found a thong at the Lotte Mall, we went to the Seoul Tower, and during my trip I realized the COS bag is so popular here, but mind you, it's usually fake bags here. We saw Subway stores where they sell those for like $10. We also got tteokbokki, and we were reminded that you have to bring cash to Korea. We then got stuck at a mall because it was raining so much, and while my boyfriend fell in love with Ryan, I was looking at those shoes, and you will see those sandals everywhere right now. And to be honest, they're really great when it's like 30 degrees and raining. And for dinner, we then went to a Japanese restaurant in Myeongdong, and the food was so good, and it cost around 50 euros. Back at the hotel, I was still missing my suitcase, and I saw this sign in the elevator: don't throw away your suitcase. Who does that? I want mine, I didn't throw it. Anyway, on day 2 in Seoul, we tried to find a cafe, which did not exist, so we had to go back. So never use Google, always use Kakao or Naver. And I got a low-calorie latte on the go, and staying skinny is still such a thing in Korea. At least the train station was pretty. And we made it to Gangnam and found this croissant cafe, Nudake. They were very serious about croissants, and we got something savory for my boyfriend, something sweet for me, a green tea latte and a black bean latte. And all of that cost around 30 euros, which is a bit expensive for Korea, but yeah, Gangnam is such a cool neighborhood. On our way to Ewha, which is my old university, we took a bus, but I absolutely hate buses, so we then switched to the subway because Ewha has a station. And it's been a while since I studied at Ewha, but it was so nice to be back. The architecture is so unique that many tourists actually come here, and we went back during the day too. It's actually located close to Hongdae, and Ewha is actually a women's university, and only exchange students can be male, and the university was also founded by an American missionary, so it's quite Christian. But back to when we were at Ewha at night. After that, we had dinner at a Korean barbecue restaurant to make my boyfriend happy. I am vegetarian, so I only got cold noodles, and later I got some cheesecake at 7-Eleven because I love them so much. And my sunshine on this trip was definitely my boyfriend, because the next day it was so rainy. My pants were soaked right outside the hotel, so we took an Uber to Dongdaemun after I changed. And the art museum there was blocked for students that day, so we went straight to the Starfield Mall and library. And I've never actually been there. And it's basically just a library in the middle of shops and next to a Starbucks. And of course, we also checked out the Gangnam Style statue outside. And because we saw some YouTubers go to this shop, we got a magnet for my boyfriend's fridge, and I also found something for myself in another shop, a hair clip, and I realized they sell them everywhere for a little cheaper, but at least I got one that is not just made from plastic. I also thought the croissant fetish cafe was the nicest we'd see, but we randomly found this cafe, which is called Onion, in a side street, and it looks like a temple. It has lots of pastries, and we tried a matcha scone and a milk tea. And we also took a couple photos of ourselves. And in this area, Ikseondong, there were so many beautiful cafes and restaurants. But before we had dinner, we went to Acorn Caricature to get drawn by one of their artists, and it was so good and not expensive at all. It's such a perfect souvenir if you come to Korea. For dinner, we went to a very basic restaurant, not one of the fancy ones, and this was our food. We had Korean sushi and these DIY dumplings. I'm not sure why we had to fold them ourselves. Also, not everyone traveling to Korea is a Korea-boo. I can't name one person that's part of Blackpink or BTS, but I did study in Korea and I like the country. And whenever I said I studied abroad in Korea, people joked North or South. And well, this is North Korea. And for some reason on this screen, you can put Instagram filters on North Koreans you watch across the border. Yeah, K-beauty for everyone, I guess. There's also the staircase to the gondolas that connect Paju with the Dora Observatory, and the motto is stay skinny, so the staircase will let you know how many calories you burn. The DMZ is a border barrier, a buffer zone between the two countries, and I did a DMZ too with the university too, and we went to the tunnel and the train station to Pyongyang, and the observation deck, like a different one, not the Dora one. With this paid tour that cost like $60, we went to the Dora Observatory, the Peace Gondola, a stall where we can buy Korean money, and Camp Greaves, and a museum. And the tour was a bit more touristy. There was even a Dunkin' Donuts and just way too many souvenir shops. Back in the city, back in Seoul, we rented a hanbok. I've done that before with my classmates, but it was so fun to do this with my boyfriend. And with a hanbok, you get free entry into Gyeongbokgung Palace. So this was only 9,000 won per person for 1 hour, and the entrance is usually 3,000 won per person. And there are so many options, but mind you, they don't have that much time for you, so you choose a color before you go. That is easier. And you get a free purse, and you can also get your hair done, but that costs something. And Gyeongbokgung Palace was built in the year 1395, so it's really worth it. And because it was Friday, we also went to Hongdae, which is short for Hongik University, and it's the nightlife district with lots of bars, karaoke, and usually street dancers and singers, but I guess we got there too late and everyone was already at the clubs. There are so many photo booths, and after a cocktail we realized the subway doesn't run anymore after midnight, and we took an Uber back to our hotel. Saturday then was another travel day, and we took the Erics from Seoul down to Busan, and we made the mistake to get off at Ulsan because it sounded like Busan, so don't get off at Ulsan. And also, side note, Korea still has a problem with cameras in public toilets, so yeah, be careful. And in Busan, we first took an Uber to our hotel. This was the prettiest hotel on our trip and probably one of the nicest rooms we ever stayed in. The view was just amazing. Something you'll see very often in Busan videos is Gamcheon Culture Village, and it used to be a quite poor district, and then an artist saw potential and added some color. It's quite unique with lots of street art, but again, very touristy, with basically just souvenir shops and people queuing for photos at the Little Prince statue. And at first we thought maybe the Little Prince has like a French author but Korean artist, like illustrator, but there is no connection between Gamcheon or Korea and the Little Prince, so it's just very random. And of course, my boyfriend got hungry, so we went to Biff Square for some street food. Tteokbokki again, but also had some fried food. And not all of this is vegetarian, and how it works is that you pay per plate, so it's 10,000 per plate usually, but the tteokbokki is just 5k I think, so in total we paid 26,000 including the soju. And walking around, we also spotted a store that's called 0 calories, but yeah, surprise, all the candy did in fact have lots of calories. Yeah, what a scam. At least I had some time to get K-beauty. I found this viral snail essence and really want to try it. They also have lots of pills like collagen and masks like this placenta mask and protein bars like these. And we ended the evening on our hotel rooftop and just enjoyed the view. And on day 2 in Busan, we definitely liked Huinyeol Culture Village more than Gamcheon. It's an area with also lots of art, very coastal, with an amazing view of the city. And we had time for some coffee at Molly's Cafe. It's so beautiful. Look at this view. And the cafe next door also has a rooftop area. And it's always so empty because Koreans don't really stay in the sun. So it's your chance to sit in the best spots with the best view. And you'll find lots of people with umbrellas, and there are even umbrellas at crossroads, like official, like public umbrellas, I don't know how to say it, so that you don't have to stand in the sun. I would have really loved to stay here longer, but we took a bus to Dakbatgul Moral Village, and the most interesting attraction here is actually the Someng Stairs monorail that takes residents upstairs. And after taking pictures here and browsing through the drinks at 7-Eleven again, we made it to Jagalchi Market. It's a fish market, but instead of eating here, we went to the Lotte Mall food court, and my boyfriend had some lunch, and at this point I was a bit tired of non-vegetarian options, so I just got something at a bakery. And we also didn't have much time because we still had 2 trips planned that day, one to a Buddhist temple and one to the Blue Line Park sky capsules. Since they were all booked out at Mipo station, we went to the temple first and then took the capsule from Songjeon station back to Mipo. Welcome to this beautiful Haedong Yeonggongsa temple right next to the ocean. It's from the 1930s but has such an interesting location next to the water, and my boyfriend's mom is Buddhist, so he also made a prayer, and these statues at the entrance are the zodiac signs. It's quite a unique temple. But we really didn't have much time because I booked the sky capsule for sunset, so we took another Uber to Sangjeong, and this was one of the highlights of our trip. You have to do this. The ride to Mipo takes maybe like 20 to 30 minutes, and especially at sunset, it's such a beautiful view. It's not too hot. It's amazing. And after 2.5 days in Busan, it's time to go to Korean's Hawaii. We had breakfast, checked out of this super pretty hotel, and went to Busan airport and take a flight with Jeju Air to Jeju Island. And saying it's like Hawaii is pretty dangerous because, you know, I've been to Hawaii and it's amazing. But honestly, it is pretty nice at Jeju, and it's a tropical island, so it is Korea's Hawaii for sure. Like, you can say that. And with our rental car, we went to our hotel in Halim. And for this evening, my boyfriend had planned like a date night on the other side of the island in the south, where I'd had a salad and a mojito latte. And it was so modern. I didn't really expect that on Jeju. But only on the next day, we really started exploring the island, and the beach next to our hotel did not disappoint. This looks like the Maldives or Key West. The water is so clear. And I saw this cafe, Kama Cafe, and some TikToks, and I really wanted to have breakfast there. The thing is just that Jeju Island is an Instagram girl hotspot, and nobody was sitting outside. It was so disappointing, like nobody was outside. And these canopy beds were empty, but people were just taking photos and then went back inside. And the vibe was just off, but this could be such a beautiful place for reading a book and having a drink. And Yeopjae Beach is right next to this cafe, and the water is just perfect. It takes 2 hours to get to the east coast of the island, and we really wanted to hike up Sangjeon Ilchubong, and it takes 50 minutes to hike up there, and it's only stairs, so it's quite exhausting. But when we reached the top, it was beautiful. It's a volcano, but it also started raining. And on Jeju, we also found so many random places, like there are teepees for no reason, there's an African museum, a Greek museum, a sex museum, a figure museum, and lots of Instagram spots. So it feels like time traveling back to 2016. And at this cafe, there are like these stairs that lead to the sky. There's a swing next to it where many girls also take photos. In the evening, because we failed to find a restaurant with vegetarian food, we just went to 7-Eleven and bought some microwaved meals. And it's a bit sad, but we ran out of options and it was super late. And the next morning, we realized there is a pool on the hotel rooftop. And although many YouTubers said that the tea museum is not worth it, we went there and at least we got some free tea and we saw the tea fields, but it's really not a museum. It's just a shop with a cafe. But there are so many people. And there are many things in Jeju that are pretty commercialized, and there's like a paywall for everything. Even like this cliff was closed after 5 p.m. and you have to buy a ticket to see it. And it's pretty ridiculous to sell nature, but many of these sites are UNESCO World Heritage, so I guess it's also just to fund like the upkeep. And even for this Jeongbong waterfall, we had to buy a ticket, and that was also our last stop on Jeju before we took a plane back to Seoul. But my absolute highlights on this trip were the cafés Onion in Seoul and Comma on Jeju, even though people sat inside and it was too Instagrammy. And the caricature is a must as a souvenir. It really is the best souvenir you could ever have. And then our ride with the sky capsule from Sangjeon to Mipo at sunset. Make sure it's at sunset. And the hike at Sangjeon Ilchebong. It's so beautiful. So yeah, those were my absolute favorites. I was so happy to come back to Korea. And yeah, maybe in a few years I will come back.